All right, everyone, welcome to today's press conference. Fresh off a nice win on Saturday, the Blue Raiders preparing to play Liberty this Saturday at home with a noon start, and it'll be our salute to the Veterans and Armed Forces game. So to talk about last week's win and this week's opponent, I'd like to get it started with the head coach, Derek Mason.
Good morning. Man, we're in week 10 and season's going fast. Excited. This week is Liberty Week, and for us, we understand exactly where we need to go and what we need to do. This team, led by Jamie Chadwell, is a good football team, right? They know how to win. I know the last couple of weeks, and they've fallen into this competitive, stretch where football becomes really hard, and it happens when you have injuries. And I know what that looks like, having been in it during the early part of the season. So as I look at Coach Chadwell and what his team has, man, they got a really good quarterback, Caden Salters. Good player, productive, dual threat quarterback, man, who can do a lot. Okay, does a lot of damage. I know the receiving core has been hit a little bit, but when you have a running back like Cooley, okay, man, who can still tote the mail, everything is at you, right? Like everything's at your disposal. You have an opportunity to still run the football. You can take shots off play action. They still have a really good offensive line, and they have more than capable weapons outside. Elijah Kenyon played for us at Auburn, so I know who he is and what he's capable of. And when you look at the defense, they're good, really good, especially at the first and second level. And they do a really good job, and they're productive up front. You got to watch the end, number 3, man. He's explosive and really good. Knows how to rush the passer, and productive with like sacks and tackles for loss. And really at the second level, those guys run and hit. Secondary-wise, man, they've been able to be opportunistic and productive. So this is going to be a competitive game at our place. I know we're 10-point underdogs, and that's sort of where it sits. So it's another challenge and opportunity for Blue Raiders to play good football.
Coach Salter's obviously a gifted runner in addition to being a passer. How does Chadwell's sort of use of the option game open up that working together with Cooley when they're in the game?
Yeah, they're a balanced offense, and so when you look at what they do, the 200-plus yards in the run game, the 200-plus yards in the pass game, they're able to formation you from 2-back to 1-back to motioning the 2x2, 3x1 to create number issues. And Caden always does a good job, finding, the matchup. So for him, he knows how to deal it. He's a good point guard, like that way. He makes good decisions. Again, he's probably had to do more the last couple of weeks with some weapons down, like that takes away from, his ability to be able to, keep them balanced. But what I believe is this, right? They've had enough time between their last game and now to sort of look at what they haven't done, fix some of those things. And so we're going to get some things that we haven't seen. So to me, whether they're getting some guys back or finding ways to make it a little easier for him to operate, Coach Chadwell and that group are a pretty good group, so they'll find ways to fix it.
Speaking of getting guys back, we saw Holden travel with the team this past weekend. How close was he to playing on Saturday, and do you expect him back this week against Liberty?
Yeah, he was close. I wish he could have played, but didn't have him. But we'll have him this week. Fully looking forward to seeing that dude in uniform. It looks different, when you don't have him versus when you have him. You gotta account for Holden Willis, whether he's in the backfield, whether he's like in line. You got to know where he is, and I think the combination of him, Amari, and what we can do, like outside or inside with Miles, gives us some things that give us balance as well as trying to spread for the run game. We have to have as many playmakers on the field as we can have, right? And I think that's the way this offense was built in the beginning. We just have to continue to try to get better every week at how we run the football. I think there's got to be creative ways and creative opportunities for us to run the football. And I think if you can continue to keep doing that, if they want to load the box, man, you got a lot to deal with.
Coach, I know the defense has been under a lot of scrutiny this season, but your 2 conference wins, the defense really led those wins. And talk about, despite the injuries you've had to deal with, how this defense has improved.
Yeah, I mean, it's an improved defense. I mean, when you look at the defense itself, right, when you count the number of guys that had experience playing, I don't care if they were veterans. When you look at guys at those positions, and I'll start with a guy like Marvay, right? Like Marvay played safety, never at corner. I mean, he started, I think, 7 games at corner this year. Like when you start to look across the landscape, I think the guy that probably had the most experience was John House, and that was at another school, right? So when you look at guys like DeMonte and you know, Bynum, like up front, man, you look at Shakai Woods, they're all young guys. So, I mean, it takes a while for those young guys. Parker Hughes, I mean, this is really his first significant playing time. You know, you look at Amarian, you know, I mean, he's young. You look at Thompson, he's young. I mean, we're a young defensive unit, regardless of what people want to believe. This group is growing up before our eyes, and young teams become old teams. So I'm encouraged at the direction that we're going. They're starting to learn how to play with each other. They're learning how to communicate a little better. The emphasis has always been on tackling, but, you know, sometimes, man, you're going to have rough times as you're going through it. So I like the trajectory, and it's really being led by Xavier Williams, right? Somebody, man, who started out on the other side of the ball, man, who's now become, you know, one of our leading tacklers as we've gone through the season. So this defense is growing like together. So I'm excited to see where it continues to grow. And they've got a challenge this week as we have to step out and play one of Conference USA's top offenses.
Yeah, Coach, you guys have Holden Willis and Amari Kelly are 2 of the best players in the country, but also you have guys like Miles Butler, who at any point can go for 100 yards. Just how do you feed those mouths that are wanting the ball and keep the offense balanced?
Well, like what I've told those guys, man, is don't stop working. I mean, I remember talking to Miles a couple of weeks ago and saying, listen, man, I mean, like your time gonna come. All you got to do is just keep chopping wood, right? Because I think sometimes, you know, it can get discouraging. I know what he did at Central Arkansas, and everybody wants opportunities, but it's sort of like he said the other day, man. It's always on guys' time. What you just got to keep doing is doing the work. He shows up every day and practices every bit as hard, if not harder, than those guys. When you get work ethic like that, man, it pays off at some point in time. And then once you get the ball rolling, I'm like, there's a snowball effect. You know, people are going to have to defend you because if they don't, you know, he's going to have big days. So I look forward to just seeing, you know, like how this whole thing plays out with, you know, Liberty like this week, because we got to go out and play good football, man. We got to be productive. We know they are, but we got to be able to match that production. Offense, defense, and special teams.
Coach, MTSU has had the most different offensive lineman lineups throughout the season.
Yeah.
How do you keep your players going into this game healthy for Liberty and throughout the rest of the season?
You know, the health part is not really up to me, right? I think what we have to do is continue to say next man up mentality. I mean, it's been unfortunate, you know, like the carousel of offensive linemen. It creates inconsistency, and when you look at it, you know, like the continuity's been tough. Right, because line play is about just knowing what the guy next to you is going to be able to do. And when you have lineup changes like that week in and week out, okay, it makes it hard. But I think this group is starting to become resilient, okay, in light of what they've had to go through. Simon Wilson's probably playing some of his best ball, like, to be honest. Like, having been plugged in there. Morgan Scott is having to play more than we thought he would. And, you know, these guys are starting to trust in one another, right? So I think that's the important thing. These guys are finally just saying, you know what, okay, it is what it is. Let's trust, let's figure it out. And Mateo's sort of leading the way, like, with that. And to say that a freshman like Clayton is leading the way, I mean, that's tough to say, but it's really true. I mean, he's played at tackle for most of the season. So when I look, man, he's probably had to play more football than we ever thought he was going to play. But, again, young guys become old guys. So I think future's bright here, man. We just got to make sure we put more around them. But these guys have to have a good week of practice, and hopefully, man, we lead that to play.
You mentioned Zach being a true freshman. There's a lot of, you know, freshmen, whether redshirt or true, making a lot of contributions. You saw Aiden Butts come out and have a good game this weekend. Right. Grant Chadwick's obviously been very consistent as a freshman at punter. How hard is it to do what they're doing, you know, so young, early on in their careers right now?
It's hard. It's hard at any level, but it's hard in Conference USA where everybody's good. Right? You look, week in and week out, man. We played Kennesaw State a couple of weeks ago, right? Man, 14-5, and then you turn around the next week, man, they go beat Liberty. Everybody's good enough on any given Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, okay, like to win a ball game. I think this much. When you're having to grow up, and I've gone through this before, right? When you have to play young football players and you've got great, senior leadership, in Zeke Rankin and some of these other guys like C.J. Johnson, these guys are doing a great job of trying to show these guys stay in the fight. Look, we were young guys too, okay? It's not easy as a young guy. School, everything that's going on around you, all the stimuli sort of gets at you a little bit, right? Not to mention that your body is going through something that it's never gone through, because in high school you were the man, right? Now like the physical toll of a 9-game season where you're getting pushed around a little bit. Grant Chadwick looked at me the other day. He was like, "Yeah, coach, body's a little stiff." He's our partner, all right. So I think it lets you know and understand that these guys have had to go through a physical, reckoning that challenges you in Conference USA. So that's great growth for us, because they'll understand why the offseason is so important. That's a good question. Appreciate you.
All right, everyone, it's now time for our student athletes. We got 3 today. We got Xavier Williams, Miles Butler, and Zeke Rankin. We'll get started with Xavier.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Xavier, we didn't get this from you post game, but walk us through that 4th down call where you stepped in at quarterback. How soon did you know that was going to happen, and what happened on that play where you were able to execute?
We talked about it a couple times throughout the week. I was watching the game. We were there cheering on the offense. I saw I got to 4th and 1. Stone came running down the sideline screaming my name. So I knew what its time was. So I just knew I had to go get the first down.
And then, the quarterback run game, for, Salter is a big part of what makes him successful. How does his work with the running back, make y'all, a challenge for the defense in particular?
I think it always comes down to the same things. We have to play our keys. We have to play our true keys and have good eyes, have clean eyes, good technique, and we'll be on top of it.
No, I was just asking Coach about the maturation of some of these players on defense and how much better you guys have gotten. Having swapped from offense to defense, what percentage would you say you've improved on every week at your position?
What would I say?
Would you say 10%, 20%, 15% you've improved every week?
Well, it's a goal to go 1% every day. So I don't know how many days it's been, but hopefully that many percent, that much.
Xavier, what can you point out from the rushing game of Quentin Cooley?
What can I point out? He's a hard runner. He's coming downhill. He knows where he wants to go, and he's trying to get there. So I think it's important for us to wrap up, to roll, get him to the ground. Same emphasis as every week.
Yeah, Xavier, you guys had a really good day on Saturday defensively. How do you take that and kind of build on that going into Liberty?
Continuing to see what worked well, cleaning up the things that we got wrong as a defense overall, but just understanding that each man still has to do their job every play, and continuing to come out there with that mentality in practice so that it carries over to the games. Right. Thank y'all.
Good morning.
Miles, we talked a little bit about, guys having to wait for their time, and your time was obviously this past weekend, when Holden stepped out. How did you keep the consistency going off the field and sort of where we don't see you guys as much, through those weeks?
Just one day at a time, controlling what I control, leaving it in God's hands because I know it's bigger than me. So I was just trying to do my part, play my role, be here every day, show up for these guys, and be the best version of me.
What do you see from the Liberty secondary as you guys, dive into your scout this week? What are some challenges and opportunities this week for the wide receivers?
There's a good secondary. They communicate well together. They have a great front, a good D lineman, DN. Number 3, he's really good pass rusher. So in the secondary, it's going to be good for us to make plays. Just try to give us some time to make plays and just be the best version of us.
Zeke, really consistent last couple of weeks for you. What do you think has led to that at this point in your career, being a veteran leader, in the special teams room?
Just trusting the training. No matter what I'm doing every single day, whether it's a warm-up kick in practice, it's all the same mental rep for me. Whether it's, a warm-up rep, like I said, or a game winner in another place. it's all the same. You kind of have to approach every kick the exact same. You're not going to be in that great mental spot whenever you get into a position that you need to be in.
Grant had some ups and downs, early in the year, but it has really, grown really consistent these last couple of weeks. How difficult is it to do what he's doing as young as he is, being a specialist? What do you see from him every week, in sort of what he's doing?
Coach Mason talked about it. It's hard, very hard, especially coming from high school where, you're the guy, especially in a specialist world. Grant was a top dog in the nation coming out of high school. There wasn't many people that could really punt anything like him. Very lucky to have him here. He's a competitor, and he the way I've seen him change from the start of summer into fall camp was incredible, and he's kind of taken it almost like a chip on his shoulder to get better every single week. And it's just kudos to him for, changing the way he attacks every single day.
You had a 47-yarder against Jack State. Where do you feel your comfortable range is now where you're at?
It kind of depends on the situations at hand, of course. But and I think anything within 52 I'm pretty comfortable with. I know we got into a position earlier in the year. Coach Mace let me roll out there for 54, which was awesome. I didn't catch it the best, but, it's a learning experience. So now we can kind of go at it the next time. And as soon as he gives me another, opportunity like that, I know I'll make it. So
I'm going to kind of piggyback off of that question. Obviously, Coach has got confidence in you, and, you've kicked some of your longest career field goals of recent. So talk about just how that makes you feel that the coach wants to send you out there instead of punting, in deep territories or trying to go for it.
It gives me a lot of confidence, knowing that they're comfortable with me and they're confident in my abilities to go out there and handle the job. I know in previous years I haven't had as many opportunities at certain situations, but, you have to forget it and move on. And every single day they're giving me an opportunity to come out there and just be on the team in general. So, knowing that they have enough trust in me to go out there and play for them is a huge confidence boost for me. Thank y'all.
All right, everyone, thanks for this morning. A reminder, next week we're off, so no press conference. Next Monday we'll be back on November 18th. Thank you.